Everybody, welcome to Rosebank Farm and Garden. It's time for a garden tour. I've been working kind of hard the last couple days to get ready to host my garden club ladies. It was our first meeting in quite a while and we wanted to enjoy the outdoors. So I'd like to take everyone on a garden tour right now. Well, let's start off the tour in the front of my house. I have two containers that I put together with Supertunia, Vista Bubblegum, Lovey Dovey, Fuchsia, and Bordeaux with grasses that have been in here for a while, but I just love how they make the entrance to my house so inviting. And then I want to show you my front step. We did handprints of the family when we put this in with Families Are Forever. And then this is my front flower bed on the sidewalk. It's filled with wildberry heuchera, bobo hydrangea. There's pink frost hellebore. But I love this wildberry heuchera. So pretty. Check out the blooms on the heuchera. Look at that. And the bobo hydrangea behind it is just full of blooms. Can't wait. And then I have an arbor at the end of the sidewalk, and on the arbor is a clematis called Bee Jubilee. Just beautiful. It's already done blooming. I will put a picture of what it looked like. But there's a saying about perennials. They say the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. And I was ready to dig up these clematis because they really weren't doing anything. And look at this one this year. It's all the way up as tall as I am. And then we call this the sidewalk to nowhere because it just ends. I have some peonies right here that are really full in front of the porch. This flower bed, the pine tree was diseased, and the one in the background over there, they were diseased, and the power company was coming through doing preventative maintenance, and they took out the trees for us, and it was such a blessing. So now we have, this one is a Fat Albert, and we're trying to, just get the placement just right. The Fat Albert doesn't grow very tall. It's like 15 feet tall. 10 to 12 feet wide, and we're trying to get the placement just right so it'll help shade the evening sun. And when we do that, then I'll probably move the rocks and just redo the flower bed here. There's my rose bench. It's positioned so that I could see the children climbing in the magnolia tree or over towards the trampoline. So there's my rose bench, the magnolia climbing tree, some spirea on the bank, and my black lace elderberry, which is coming along. It's second year, third year. I keep thinking it should be a lot fuller and bigger, but it bloomed this year and it was just beautiful. So coming on around the yard, we have some blank space for future flower beds. And then this is the new path I put in last fall with an arbor. Let's get a little closer. This is a David Austin iceberg rose, and it's glorious. I can't wait for it to climb up and over the top of this arbor, and I love the detail on it. On the other side of the David Austin rose is a Kramer's Rote Heather, which is really interesting foliage. It's like evergreen pine tree feeling, just really cute little plant. And then this is the new path. It's lined with boxwood. I shaped those up and they're looking pretty nice. So let's go around the path. This is where the path comes out on the other side of the catalpa. I've been trying to add more perennials into the beds, and I just love that wildberry heuchera. And then I have some vinca and impatiens beside it. On this side of the path as we leave, I have a new plant. It's a little Henry sweet spire, supposed to be very fragrant. Some Japanese iris, and then this flower bed I've been planting up with white. So I have a lot of white impatiens in here this year. I planted some white caladiums to the right of the angel, and I am impatiently waiting for them to come up. But I think they're called snowdrift, and I think the caladiums will be beautiful there. They just need to get a move on. This is the other side of the catalpa, the path. You can just see one of the stepping stones there. Go around the street side of the catalpa and the pine tree. But on this side, I have always done pink impatiens, but this year I decided to put in some perennials, and I'm really loving it. And you can see I still have my pink impatiens. Let me zoom in on that one. But I'm really loving the look of the wildberry heuchera paired with the hosta. And the butterfly stepping stone, I got at Lake Erie. They have a butterfly house, and that's where I got that stepping stone. And so I'll take a step back. This is our swing, and there's a cement pad that my grandfather poured underneath the swing. And over here, this is really interesting. It is this plant stand. I can go flat, but it holds a hanging basket. I just thought that'd be a nice spot to tuck in by the trampoline to have some color there. And the trampoline stairs my son built. Oh, that's better. My son built those stairs as a 4-H project years ago. And then I have a perennial container. I had different combos in it, but I'm really loving just more perennials this year. And then we have a solar turtle. Her eyes light up at night. Named her Ruth after my grandmother who loved turtles. This next flower bed, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. This is a new flower bed that I carved out last year and had a few plants in it, but it wasn't very full. This year I've added a lot, and it's starting to really come together. These are Brunnera. They have a blue bloom early in the spring with a Godzilla Japanese fern. These next ones are called Carpathian harebells, and they're for sun to part sun. And you notice the third one back there is eaten. So I have a story. I asked my husband to come out and set up the trail cam so we could catch whatever was eating these flowers. And so we came out and discovered they were covered in slugs. And I was able to flick them off, and I stomped on the ones that were there. I have some slug and snail bait sprinkled around. And so far so good. My husband was laughing. He goes, I don't think the trail cam would pick up the slugs. So hopefully they will make a comeback, and we'll just keep the slug bait around them and see how it goes. There's a raspberry bush here that I tied up, but look at these berries. We've been making raspberry crisp every day from our other berry patch. So there's a sedge grass that came back. I love the color. Mini Mauvet hydrangea. They don't get very big, but that color, oh my goodness. Look at that color. I just planted a lemony lace elderberry there. It'll get quite big and fill in that space. I have a pink potion salvia. This grass is interesting. It is called silver lily dragon grass. Okay, those are the 4 words. I mixed up the order. But I just love the variegation, and it's so interesting. And then these plants, I don't know what they are. I even tried looking it up on it's called My Garden Answers app to identify plants, and none of the matches really matched. So any ideas what these are, let me know. This is a butterfly bush that I'm trying to save. I think it's a pink microchip butterfly bush. Another pink potion salvia. I have a purple baptisia, some pink coneflowers. Tucked around the corner there is an oak leaf hydrangea that I hope will bloom this year. I bought it in clearance last year. Here is my clearance Japanese maple, some iris that I transplanted on the farm. This little spot I'm loving. These are 3 David Austin Desdemona roses. They bloomed white, and 3 blue fescue grasses in front. And our new little puppy sat on one of the roses and broke off a beautiful stem, and I'm trying to propagate it in water in the kitchen, so we'll see how that goes. There's a euphorbia. This is Candy Crush. This one right here is Candy Crush. It'll bloom in the fall. So I have a daylily. Cat's Pajama Nepeta is around lining the edge of the bed. It's already bloomed once and we trimmed it back. We're just waiting for the second flush to hit. And now we have Invincible Ruby hydrangeas, and these will get much bigger than the mini Mauvette. But again, the color on these is just gorgeous. So I have 3 of the Invincible Rubies, Stella Daylily, and then some Speedwell. This is what most people would consider a weed. It's called Queen Anne's lace. The flower comes up to an umbel. But I just left it because I think Queen Anne's lace is pretty. It's so delicate. And then there's a peony, another daylily, some denim and lace, Russian sage. There's 3 of them. Another peony. This is a dark chocolate baptisia. And then I have a patch of autumn joy sedum on this side. There's the euphorbia. And this is a butterfly bush. Let me check on the name. It's Pugster amethyst butterfly bush. All right, so that's the flower bed on the roadside view. Give you a reference point. We're back at the catalpa with the Invincible Ruby, and then we pan over. We're going to head towards my mailbox. This is a red bud that's a volunteer, and then further back is our outhouse. It's a 2-seater, and it's where I store my clothesline and clothespins. All right, so we're going to head towards the mailbox. This little area was where my grandparents had an extra garden, and we planted some fruit trees here. We have 2 apple trees. And in the back corner, back there, is where I dump all the grass and weeds. We trim some grapevine out of trees. It all gets dumped back in that corner. Nice little hiding spot. This area is full of raspberries. In fact, we're going to go past a nice raspberry bush right here. We go picking just about every day now. All right, so this little area I just love. I call it the secret garden, and I couldn't find round stepping stones, and I kept going on and on about I want round stepping stones. So my husband made me these, and it has our family's names scratched into them. And I just love it. So we have our family names. And then this little area opens up to what I call the secret garden. And I'd like to make it more of a natural children's play area. I got some stones so they could jump from stone to stone. But this one broke apart. That's really weird. The stone just broke apart. So I'm going to clean that up, but I want to do more natural a play area here. And then we have a bench, and then there's a path so we can get to the raspberries. And that's my horse pasture. We keep going around. We're right beside the outhouse. And eventually I'd like to do a path this way as I get more grandchildren. Okay, so we finished the name paths. My daughter loves cats, and so she had made her own stepping stone and had to have it in there. And on down. Leaving the name path, I'll go back around right there. So there's the horse pasture and goes down to, I think it's a Chinese chestnut tree down there. And then that's our burn pile. We've had quite a few limbs come down over the winter and trimming, and so we have another pile to go. This redbud tree, I think, is not going to last too many more years, or at least just this one limb is like growing horizontal. Look at that, way out there. It makes it hard to mow. And we put a swing in there for the children, and one year it was the perfect height, and then now, well, not that swing. I'll go around and show you the swing I'm talking about. Here's the swing I'm talking about. The first couple years this was up. It was the perfect height for the children. And then after a winter, we came ready to play the next spring, and the tree had obviously leaned some more, and now the swing is very low to the ground. Inside the redbud tree, right up here, we had a bird suet cage filled with nesting material, and the interesting thing, the birds took all the soft material. They took my husband's hair and the cotton balls, and they left all the other hardscape materials that we put in there. So here's the redbud from the other side. There's the outhouse in the background, but just look how horizontal that branch goes, way out there. And also in the redbud, on a different branch, I have my bird feeder. All right, so let's leave the canopy of the redbud and head up towards the house. These are yucca plants that my grandmother had planted. They spread from their roots, but they're beautiful. They tend to fall over. I don't stake them. I just let them do their thing. Working on this flower bed, I want to replace the wooden timbers. We'll get around to that eventually. So I have some blank space to work with, but I am loving my flower pots. I didn't experiment this year. I only put 3 plants, one of each kind. This planter has Supertunia latte, which is like a black and white petunia. I just love the look of that in that terracotta planter. So coming on around, the tall plant is feverfew. We needed some seating over here so we could watch the children in the treehouse, so I brought the bench over, and I like it in this spot. I think it's really nice. And then I'm loving these fluted terracotta pots. I love the way I don't know if you can see the edge, maybe on that one, how it's like ruffled, it's fluted. So I'm just loving the look of this area. So when you turn around and sit on the bench, you have a view of the treehouse. In the slide, there's a rope ladder they can climb up, a hammock swing, and there's a bistro set up there. Sometimes my husband and I will go up there in the evening. I have that rail behind the bistro wrapped with fairy lights. They're solar. And sometimes my husband and I will just go up there in the evening and talk. It's really, really nice and peaceful. So it's not just for the kids. Okay, these impatiens are a double impatiens. I think they're called Rockapolco, I think. But just look at that ruffle. So beautiful. There's a lot of buds coming. When I bought these, they weren't in good shape, and I've been babying them along, and I think it's going to pay off soon with all those blooms I see. And so up here are the hay rack planters, and I have a really bright pink impatient planted in them, except for this one got smashed by a stray cat that hangs around. Beside the treehouse is this oval flower bed lined with rock, and we have a stilby, and then I planted caladiums. I just can't wait for them to come up. I have caladiums in a U shape around this rock with the boot on it, with more of those same dark pink impatiens. I really want these caladiums to come up. I think they're going to be gorgeous. And then there's a hydrangea I got at Lowe's years ago. It hadn't done much. Last year it had its first bloom, but my grandson beat it with a stick. He said his dad told it was a weed, and I told him it was one of my flowers and he should leave it alone. And this year it's got a nice size on it, so I'm just waiting. It bloomed blue, so we're just waiting to see what it does this year, but it's looking good. This part of the flower bed next to the sidewalk has a lot of native plants that my grandmother would bring back from hikes in the woods. Again, there's feverfew. This one, even though it has the leaves of 3, this is not poison ivy. It is a jack-in-the-pulpit. And so I just leave it be, let it do its thing. This is a deutzia. It has white blooms early in the spring. Next to the deutzia are a couple bleeding hearts, and then this beautiful chartreuse plant is called a sun king, but it's for shade. Love the irony there. This is my watering station. I have a Ely hose reel. I have my husband, he's wonderful, attach some hooks for watering cans, and I have my different nozzles. So I just want to show you this real close. This is a valve where I can shut the water off, and this is the female quick connect. This is the male quick connect, and I can just pull back on the female, pull that up, that'll pop off, and then on my feeder there's a male quick connect that you put into the end of the hose, and I can quickly switch off just by turning the water off on this valve and use the quick connect system to switch from one nozzle to the other. It's awesome. I love it. And then we're back around from the hose reel. Then we have our grilling area right next to the house, and we're back around to the front door and those flower pots. On the other side of my driveway, we have a big field. We call this our baseball field. It's divided on the diagonal with our neighbor's property, but we can still, play baseball. And we planted a peach tree this year, and there's our pear tree, and these beautiful lilies were something my grandmother had planted in front of the garage. My grandson's planted up this pot with the blue pansies, and they're still going strong, and I just didn't have the heart to change them out because those boys were so proud of what they did. And so then panning down, I'll take you down and show you there's a pole painted like a cow, so let's go take a look at that. Okay, here she is. My youngest daughter painted the face, and there's sedum planted around in a lower flower pot, and then in the top flower pot is some more petunias, but isn't she cute? This is the left side of my driveway going up towards my house, and I'm really excited about the possibilities in this space. It is mostly a full sun location, and with that diseased pine tree removed, it really opens it up to having a nice swoop and just doing a flower bed up this whole drive. So I do have some plants in place that I'd like to get established. There's some of the bigger ones eventually. So the first up is a Black Hills spruce that'll grow 20 to 25 feet tall and about 10 to 12 feet wide. And this will provide shade for our house. The way the sun sets, this is in a good position to give us a lot of shade. And over here I have a smoke bush, and that one I just planted in a recent video. Wasn't real happy with the root system, but we'll see how it does. And then I hosted garden club last night, and one of the ladies suggested that I turn these stumps into fairy houses by putting a roof over it and a door in it, and I think that would be really cute. This stump does have poison ivy on it, so just wanted to show you how the petioles branch out from a center, and it's the poem goes, leaves of three, let it be. So some other new plants in this area are a soft serve gold false cypress, and this will get a pretty good size and fill in this space. And this one is a proud berry coral berry that'll have beautiful pink round berries in the fall. This is a 9 bark I got for clearance. It's actually looking really good now. And then I have 3 Olivia Austin roses. So there's 1, 2, 3 that get full sun, and there's a bloom on this one, so let's go take a look. It's the most delicate soft pink, just beautiful. And this is Bruce, the blue spruce. And coming around Bruce is a Sequins Joy Barberry. I don't know, it's a tricolor. It has some pink on the leaves at one point, like that one there. And this is a Flashpoint Nephofia. They get rather tall with a spiky bloom, and I think I want to get more to go around the guide wire. So that's all I have right now in this future flower bed, but I'm so excited to get planting next year. It's my vegetable garden area on the outside. It's lined with oh so easy petite pink roses. They're not in their prime right now, but they are gorgeous. And it goes over, I have some more Supertunia Vista bubblegum and a little gate into the garden. But these are just beautiful. So on the end, I have another David Austin Iceberg Climbing Rose. Can't believe the growth it's put on just in one season, but these can get 20 to 30 feet tall or long, and I'm going to weave it down the top of the pickets. I think that'll be just gorgeous with the green foliage and the white blooms on the white picket fence. And so I have marigolds as a trap crop planted outside of the garden. So inside the garden along the fence, I have a row of blueberries, which I am still weeding, and I have the mulch ready to mulch that. Those are my tomatoes, got corn, potatoes in tires. We've got peas, squash, cucumber, trying yard-long green beans for the first time. We have kale. I tried to only plant things that I knew my family would eat. So I don't have a huge variety. I have garlic, onions, strawberries, but we just planted stuff that we knew everybody would eat. This is a new flower bed. We brought the rock over to line it so it would match down to the marigolds. But against the chicken coop here, I have hollyhocks just planted, starting to put on some growth. In this area, there are gladiolas all the way across, but no sign of them yet. The caladiums and the gladiolas just need to get a move on. Over here is the Grape Arbor that we built this spring. We have a separate video that I will try to link below on how we built the grapevine arbor, but all the materials, the logs are all from our farm, and the grapes are doing tremendous this year. I think they really benefited from the trimming that we gave them. So we have a hanging basket with lobularia, some pink impatiens. This is some of that grass from the flower pots in front of the house that I transplanted off. I think there's a blue lobularia back there too. And then this is where we make our s'mores. That's where we put all the supplies for the s'mores. The grandkids can sit here. And then my husband built the table and benches from the oak tree that fell down in the horse pasture. And there's some more logs. We are going to build a shelter over the pizza oven, so those are just kind of there. But here's our chiminea where we do our s'mores. And then this is our hay field. We recently baled hay. And let's go over and look at the butterfly garden. The butterfly garden was my granddaughter's 4-H project last year. I think she got 3rd place with it, and we have a series of videos about it and all the things she had to do for her project. But can you see all the pollinators going to town? Let me zoom in. They're loving the milkweed. We put a plant support, it's round, quite large, in this spring because the wind blows the milkweed towards the hayfield, and it would lay over and just crush the other sun-loving plants on the other side. And so hopefully the support will keep the milkweed upright, but it's just gorgeous. We already had one monarch caterpillar, and he was a good size, but I haven't seen any the last couple days. But just the bees are just going to town over here. So I have the daisies, tixie, coneflower, ornamental onion, a buddleia. Look at that. I just love coming over here. Okay, another coneflower, another tick seed, and another coneflower. We're back around. Isn't that awesome? This has been a really fascinating place for us to come and just check out all the wildlife and the monarch butterfly caterpillars last year. Just really cool. There's the other side of the grapevine arbor, the pizza oven. We're going to build a shelter over it, and my husband needs to refinish the top again. It cracked. There's our sandbox. We also planted sunflowers to give shade to the children. That is a 360 teeter-totter. It spins and does the teeter-totter thing. That is called Big Dig. It is so much fun for the children. They use it all over the farm. We recently got gravel for the driveway, so they were taking gravel with it. They dig sand. Bought another air chair. It's making for a really great conversation area. The reason why I bought another chair was because every time I wanted to sit in it, somebody else was. So I bought another one, and it's been great. And my butterfly chair. I have the hammock, and over here are the goats. That's their little barn house that they can climb up. That was their bridge right there. But the spools that we had it on rotted, and so we need to do something. They loved their bridge. And then we built them a teeter-totter right here, but the goats don't actually use the teeter-totter. The grandkids go in there and play with the goats and play on the teeter-totter more than the goats do. But you can see them. They knocked over their house, and they like to be up in the air. Okay, so let's go over in this direction. This is the chicken coop / duck pen. We had ducks most recently, and something got in and got them. We just came out and they were gone. No idea what happened to them, which is one of the reasons why we got a trail cam. But I think I'd like to get chickens next year and just start over fresh. Okay, here is a fun new project we're just starting on. We're going to call this Alligator Alley. And we want to put a train set in out here. So right now we're just trying to level it up and just see if it'll work. But this is going to be an awesome project as we landscape this and get a train track in. So really excited, fun stuff. And I have a little flower bed off the pool stairs. We have lavender and an Olivia Austin rose, David Austin rose. That is a tricolor Mygela. And then we have our little mermaid and her boyfriend, Tiki Man. And there's the pool deck and our swimming pool. Now this sidewalk is something I'm so excited about. We just finished this project. I had seen a picture on Instagram of a brick-lined gravel sidewalk, and I knew that would be the answer to this crazy, I'll show you, area that the sidewalk opens up into. We had the pavers, and they just didn't make the turn very well here. But my husband and I compromised. He wanted to keep the pavers because little feet going to the pool, this way they can step on the pavers. And so I do like the way it turned out. Eventually, my garden garage we're going to build me a greenhouse here. And this will be planted up with beautiful plants on both sides to soften the look of the straight line of the brick. Well, here I am on the sidewalk, and I just turned around. This is the awkward space that I just had so much trouble with the pavers going to the pool. It just didn't look right. But this I am loving. It just like makes a cohesive look, and you can go to the swimming pool, you can go to the chicken coop door, or you continue on around and you can go into the garden arbor. And I just love it. I just am loving the look of this. On either side of the arbor are Zephrine Drowland roses that my goats ate back 3 times last year. And they're making a comeback this year. And then there's this giant hosta that I'm going to divide next year. Have another hanging basket on the corner. The rain barrel was my Mother's Day present. I'm trying to get a watering station going here for the garden because the hose doesn't quite reach all the way across. But I think when we build this backside will be part of my new greenhouse. We'll install a gutter system that'll go right into the rain barrel, and that'll help. So we'll just peek over the gate here. These raised beds are just stacked brick. They were meant to be temporary, but they're becoming permanent. But I have my onions, garlic, and potatoes. That is a thornless blackberry that we have told the grandchildren, you cannot eat the berries. We're going to make jam. And then here's my garden from this side. We have a lot of watermelon planted, zucchini with the yard-long green beans, some kale. And that is Elvis. Okay, this flower bed is brand new. I just put it in this year. A lot of the things I do on the farm are just hard work. So I, edged it with my edger shovel and then removed the sod, and that's just hard work. But look at this. So the front has dahlias, some Dusty Miller. That was a lupine. This is Heart to Heart Pink Potentilla. Zebra grass. Then there's Stand By Me bush clematis, which let me get a close-up on these flowers. Let me turn it up. They hang down, but just look at that shape. Another Olivia Austin rose. This area does get sun for part of the day. It's just not as big as the other roses that are in full sun, but we'll see how she does. There we go. One of the reasons why I wanted the arbor here was to hide the pipes. Can you see them? There you go. So those pipes go over to the hose, which is on the roof. Let me see if I can hold this up. The arbor hides the pipes for our heating system, and the hot water comes up and is pumped into the slide right there. And so the hot water goes down the slide and into the pool. This is my view of the swimming pool, the hammock, the air chairs, a new flower bed area we'll go take a closer look at, and my goat pasture, hayfield. This is another brand new flower bed that I put in this year. We were just having a hard time weed whacking around the post there that the hammock is attached to. And so I was like, well, I'll just incorporate it into a flower bed. And so this is the end result. My husband named it Purple Circle of Beauty. So all of my areas of my yard have names, so they know what I'm talking about. So this is Purple Circle. Everything in this flower bed pretty much are shades of purple or white. So I have 5 foxglove. This one's starting to bloom again. Going around the Rosa Sharon. There's a bee in that one. That was cool. And I have Firefly Amethyst Yarrow right there. It's getting ready to bloom. I have some Veronica. Let me see what the name of this was. Wizard of Oz. This is a David Austin Desdemona rose that blooms white. It's an African daisy. Another Desdemona, foxglove. This is a Zinfandel hydrangea. It'll age to a pink. If I just turn around from Purple Circle, I go down this direction past the goat pen, and this is the woodshed, which is also called the sugar shack. Okay, there's our woodshed, and this is where we make maple syrup every spring. There's a stove in there where we boil it down. Also down there is the entrance to the pig pen. You can see the gate right there. It's made up of old crib sides. Our second oldest daughter showed pigs and when she was in 4-H, and this is where we had her pig pen. But when we got the pigs this year, we rebuilt it. The white rails are the old stock racks for my grandpa's Chevy way back when in the 60s. I doubt if they would fit a truck today, but they were built so they'd fit down into the sides of the truck. Anyways, they make a really nice pig pen barrier. All right, let's take a look. Hey, piggies. Yeah. So meat, bacon, and eggs. This is their water barrel. We bring the hose down, we fill it up with water, and my husband put the pig nipple on it. He had to cut the hole and seal it. And there's the pig nipple. Back up to the house, there's our Riley bear in his cool spot under the pine tree. He's on his run. Hey, Boo. Hey, thank you for watching this video tour of my farm. I hope you enjoyed seeing my garden spaces. Please like and subscribe to Rosebank Farm and Garden, and we'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.